Nobody really tells you this. Turning 40 doesn't suddenly make you old. There's no switch that flips overnight. But what does happen is quieter, and far more important. Your body starts operating under a new set of rules. At 30, you can recover from poor sleep. You can eat badly for a few days. You can ignore stress and still feel fine. After 40, your body remembers everything. The lack of sleep, the years of chronic stress, the workouts you skipped, the nutrition shortcuts you took. And slowly, things begin to change. Your energy feels different. Fat becomes easier to gain and harder to lose. Muscle doesn't respond the way it used to. Sleep becomes lighter. Focus becomes harder to maintain. Most people think this is just getting older. It's not. It's biology, and it follows patterns. In this video, you'll learn what actually happens to your body after 40, why it happens, and what you can do to slow the process down dramatically. Hormonal shifts after 40. One of the first major changes after 40 happens beneath the surface. Hormones. For men, testosterone begins a slow but steady decline, roughly 1% per year starting in the early 30s. By 40, that decline becomes noticeable. For women, estrogen and progesterone start fluctuating more aggressively as the body approaches perimenopause and menopause. These hormones do far more than regulate reproduction. They influence muscle growth, fat storage, mood, motivation, energy levels, bone density, and even brain function. When hormone levels decline or fluctuate, the entire system downstream changes. This is why many people after 40 say the same thing. I'm doing the same things I always did, but my body isn't responding anymore. Same workouts, same diet, same routine, different results. This isn't a lack of discipline. It's a change in internal chemistry. Hormonal shifts also affect recovery. You may notice you feel sore longer after workouts. Stress feels heavier. Sleep becomes less restorative. Your body is still adaptable, but it now requires stronger signals and better recovery to produce the same outcomes. Metabolism and insulin sensitivity. A common myth is that metabolism suddenly crashes after 40. The reality is more nuanced. Your basal metabolic rate, the calories you burn at rest, declines slowly over time. But what changes faster is insulin sensitivity. Insulin is a hormone that allows glucose to enter your cells. As insulin sensitivity declines, your body becomes less efficient at handling carbohydrates. This means blood sugar stays elevated longer. Excess glucose is more easily stored as fat. Inflammation increases. This is why belly fat becomes more common after 40, even in people who exercise regularly. The diet that worked at 30 often stops working quietly. Not because calories suddenly matter more, but because timing, quality, and metabolic context matter more. Frequent snacking, high-sugar foods, and constant carbohydrate intake hit harder now. It's not about eating less. It's about eating in a way that works with your changing physiology, not against it. Muscle loss and sarcopenia. One of the most important and overlooked changes after 40 is muscle loss. After the age of 30, adults lose approximately 3 to 8% of muscle mass per decade. This process is called sarcopenia. Muscle is not just cosmetic. It is a metabolic organ. It helps regulate blood sugar. It protects joints. It supports balance and coordination. It plays a major role in long-term health and longevity. When muscle mass declines, several things happen simultaneously. Metabolism slows. Fat gain becomes easier. Injury risk increases. Physical independence later in life decreases. The most important thing to understand is this. If you are not actively building or maintaining muscle, you are losing it. Walking is beneficial. Cardio is useful. But after 40, resistance training becomes essential. Strength training sends a signal to the body that muscle is needed. Without that signal, the body adapts by removing what it considers unnecessary tissue. Bone density and structural changes. Bone density also begins to decline after 40. This process is slow and silent. You don't feel it happening. There is no pain, no immediate warning signs, until one fall results in a fracture. Bone is living tissue. It responds to mechanical load, hormones, and nutrition. Weight-bearing exercise and resistance training provide the stimulus bones need to remain strong. Vitamin D, calcium, and hormonal balance support this process, but supplements alone are not enough. Bones adapt to stress. Without it, they weaken. This is particularly important for women who experience accelerated bone loss during and after menopause. Strong bones are not built passively. They are built through intentional movement and consistent loading. Brain function and cognitive changes. Many people notice subtle cognitive changes after 40. It might feel like brain fog, slower recall, reduced mental sharpness. This is not necessarily cognitive decline, but it is a sign that the brain is changing. Blood flow to the brain decreases slightly with age. Mitochondrial efficiency declines. Chronic inflammation and stress take a greater toll. The brain remains plastic, capable of adapting and improving, but it now requires stronger inputs. Mental challenge, physical exercise, deep focus, adequate sleep, sedentary lifestyles, constant distraction, and chronic stress accelerate cognitive aging. The brain does not age simply because time passes. It ages because it is understimulated or overstressed. Sleep after 40. Sleep architecture changes noticeably after 40. Deep sleep becomes shorter. Melatonin production decreases. Stress hormones like cortisol remain elevated longer. This leads to lighter sleep, more frequent awakenings, and slower recovery. Poor sleep affects everything. Hormones, metabolism, mood, cognitive function, immune health. After 40, sleep hygiene becomes critical. Light exposure, caffeine timing, consistent routines, and stress management have a much greater impact than they did before. Sleep is no longer optional recovery. It becomes a foundation. Inflammation and recovery. Another major shift after 40 is increased baseline inflammation. Years of stress, poor nutrition, lack of sleep, and environmental exposure accumulate. Inflammation makes recovery slower. Joints feel stiffer. Small injuries linger longer. This doesn't mean exercise is dangerous. It means recovery must be respected. Training hard without adequate recovery accelerates aging rather than slowing it. The goal shifts from doing more to doing what produces the best long-term signal. What to do after 40, evergreen strategy. Here's the good news. Aging after 40 is highly modifiable. People who age well are not lucky. They are intentional. The most powerful actions are surprisingly simple. Strength train 3 to 4 times per week. Focus on compound movements. Lift weights that challenge you safely. Prioritize protein. Aim for sufficient intake to support muscle maintenance and repair. Manage blood sugar. Reduce constant snacking. Be intentional with carbohydrates. Protect sleep aggressively. Create an environment that supports deep rest. Reduce chronic stress. Stress accelerates aging faster than almost anything else. Consistency matters more than intensity. Small actions repeated over years compound dramatically. Turning 40 is not the beginning of decline. It is the beginning of responsibility. Your body is still adaptable, still responsive, still capable of improvement, but it no longer tolerates neglect. The people who look strong, energetic, and mentally sharp later in life are not exceptions. They simply understood the rules and played accordingly. And now you do too.